And we are live for another episode of the Blue Crocus Experience, guys. Excited to have you here and excited to have an awesome guest on here to chat with as well. So, CJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Happy to be here.
Excited to dive into a few things. We've been following each other for a bit on social media, and as many of my guests are, the story often leads to I want to get to know the story a little bit more, add some value to the listeners, and kind of make that happen. So just give people an idea of where you are, what you're doing, and we'll dive into to some background here.
Yeah, man. My name's CJ, and I live in San Diego, California. My wife and I, we started the Junk Medics about 4 years ago, and we do full service junk removal. It's been a long, interesting, wild road. The land of junk removal is filled with many different interesting turns, but it's been fun. We've had a really good run with it. Started putting the right people in the right places to start growing something kind of cool. So I'm excited for what we've put together so far.
I love it. And share with us a little bit. You've lived several lives before the junk removal life. So I'd like to get into that a little bit. And how that played into it.
I used to have people that would make fun of me for how many jobs I've had in the past, and I didn't know this, but I was recently diagnosed with ADHD, and I just couldn't focus on it long enough. I got bored. I had soaked up all of the knowledge that I was able to do, and I when I was younger grew up rough. I was in foster care as a kid and spent a lot of time kind of navigating that, and was emancipated when I was 16, kind of doing my own thing, working full time. So it was always kind of I was always kind of the one that had to figure it out for myself.
Sure.
Then I ended up going on getting my little sister, having to take care of her for many years. She was 5 years younger than me, and after our father got sick, he passed away, and my mom was working as a live-in caregiver, so she'd be there on the weekends, but responsibility kind of fell to me for a lot of it. So we ended up, I ended up raising a teenage girl. Had no idea what I was doing, and that forced me to have to look into better paying jobs, other opportunities. Fell into the car business. I started selling cars at 18, and did really well. Enjoyed it. And then from there, I've done everything. I've been a financial advisor with Northwestern Mutual. I've managed a strip club once upon a time. You name it. I've done all sorts of just random things that kind of caught my interest. And I quit my job after being miserable and turned around, and a buddy of mine was a general contractor. So I started working with him and doing cabinets and custom finish work, and kind of acting as like a project manager for all the different things he was doing. And one day I was doing a dump run and saw all these junk trucks, and I was like, whoa, what's junk removal? I've never heard of it before. And I went home, started YouTubing stuff, looking up stuff online, how to start a junk removal business or whatever. And I stumbled upon Tim Doss's videos, and Matt Vick and some of the other guys. And one thing led to another. I just started kind of thinking about it more and more. And my first couple jobs, I remember I didn't even have a business name yet, but I was borrowing a trailer from somebody who didn't even know I was using it for my first couple jobs, just because I wanted to get my feet wet. And it was just a weird, wild thing that there was no plan really in place. It was just something interesting that kind of caught my attention. And 4 years later, almost 2,000 jobs later, here we are. So it's been an interesting, wild road. But yeah, being able to use all of that past experience has definitely taken me to a point in our business that's I'm able to apply a lot of that to what we do. And there's a lot of stuff that people in our industry just are not doing. It's a very kind of young industry for what we do, and a lot of room for people to do it better and the right way. So we saw an opportunity and decided to run with it.
I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, and there's That is a varied experience, and you know, we could dive into every single one of those instances and
Yeah,
probably make a show out of each one.
a million. Oh my God, it's been a wild ride for sure.
I love it. We do have people listening in, so I think this is inside one of the groups. So hey, whoever's commenting, anybody who's listening, drop comments for CJ as well. You know, let us know that you're here. We appreciate the interaction, even if you can only be here for a couple seconds. Just let us know you're here, and we'll shout you out on the show. But I do want to go back to I think the sales one. You know, what I kind of get is you had to learn pretty quick, get on your feet at 16. You know, kind of just grow up really fast. Project management is a skill that you have. Sales is a skill. Would you say that, like, what are the skills that you kind of bring? Those are two that stand out just from watching you online.
You know, the sales side of it was, and it's so weird because, like, I remember back in high school, I was the shyest, most introverted person ever. You know, I was self-conscious. I was going through whatever I was going through, and you know, didn't really have a lot of friends. Didn't talk to a bunch of people just because of my own confidence level. And you know, when I got custody of my little sister, I kind of had this sense of like, all right, I have to be the one to figure this out. So actually, I remember, well, my dad was very sick at this point, and the morning he passed away, I remember I had a job interview at the car dealership I ended up working at. I don't even remember the interview, but I walked in there and I knew that I needed this job because I needed the money. And you know, just one thing led to another, and I ended up going from there. Sales was, I don't think I could have picked a better career to probably prepare me for what I do. You know, it's not even so much the selling aspect of it, because this is a very easy sell with junk removal, but you know, it's the customer service side of things. You know, my pay was directly correlated to a review that was coming from that customer after the transaction. So I had to make sure that at every point in the process, my customer was 100% satisfied. And it also taught me a lot about, you know, processes and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, applying just not only the customer service side of it, but also the, you know, the overcoming objections, the conflict resolution. From sales, I ended up going into the service department and becoming a service advisor. And, you know, you're working with 30, 40 customers a day at that point, dealing with all manners of problems, from oil changes all the way up to engine replacement. So, you know, it's a lot of juggling, a lot of experience that really taught me how to manage multiple things going on, putting out multiple fires, and also a lot of things that people really didn't do well. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I wish I could have changed at places I worked, and you know, it was a laundry list of different experiences that taught me like what I don't want in a business that I own, but also how to apply the certain things that worked for me and allowed me to be successful with what I was doing at the time.
I love it. I love it. What are some of the things that, you know, you see you're kind of taking that customer service, you know, the service desk experience forward? I mean, we're in a service industry. And a lot of people, you know, you see it in the groups. There's a lot of positive things in the groups, but you see occasionally these posts where you're like, man, like, how are you a business owner? You're treating, you know, you're treating your customers really poorly, even if it's just in the way you're talking about them in the groups. You know, what are some areas that you see that?
You know, from a young age, I realized that, you know, your digital footprint is there forever. So, you know, you post something that's, you know, maybe derogatory or something that's, you know, that can get back to somebody that you don't want it to. So, you know, you have to, it's an open forum and everyone can post whatever they want, but you also have to accept the consequences that come with that. So, I just don't post anything. You know, I have negative experiences. Everyone does. You know, it's not, but I'm not going to highlight those. I'm not going to go out and promote them. I'll talk about them, sure, you know, but it's not like I'm dwelling on them or dealing with any of that. Some of the stuff that I see in some of the Facebook groups, I'm just completely shocked. You know, I've seen people that are just, how do you go through your day to day just being that negative of a person? How do you see and expect them to continually keep coming back to you. It's not going to happen. You know, they're going to try you once, realize or see something online and you're a douchebag, and that's it. You know, you're never going to have an opportunity to earn their business again. So, you know, you're really building a relationship that's going to last, hopefully, the test of time, and just keep your customers coming back to you. So really, it's just going into that with that mentality. You know, we really want to be that person that they can trust, that's going to show up at their house, do a good job. We're not going to flake on them. We're not going to not communicate with them. I over communicate with my customers, to be honest. Some people tell me like, hey, don't send me so many texts. Like, I get it, you're coming tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
But I do that to make sure that they're well informed. I want to be respectful of their time. I want to be, you know, make sure that they're up to date if something changes on my side, because life happens. So we just really try to, you know, build an experience for our customers that they can, you know, they want to go tell their neighbors about. They want to go post on Facebook groups and be like, oh my God, I just hired this company to haul my couch away, and they were freaking great, you know? And we try to do that. You know, that's really our bread and butter. And there's a lot of companies out there that I wouldn't trust in my own home, much less, you know, ever recommend, or, you know, and it sucks because, you know, you want them to be successful in their own way or whatever, but you also, there's a reason that 9 out of 10 businesses fail, you know, and a lot of people are unable to recognize their own faults and change in that regard.
Yeah. So you talk about communication. I think that's, you know, I've recently started purchasing, you know, services for our agency, you know, that I would have done before. And it's really cool to be on the receiving end of a lot of these services. Some people do it well, some people don't, right? And so when communication is amazing. I mean, you're basically dating your client, right? You know, you're from the instant they call you, it's like that's the you know, the blind date, and then they're making assumptions as soon as you pick up the phone. And then from there, you say you text them a lot, but do you have a system, like do you have a process of how many texts you want to send at a minimum?
Yeah, so we've built out a workflow that I have ADHD. I can't concentrate on shit for more than, you know, 5 minutes at a time sometimes. So I recognize that myself as actually the weak link in the whole process of communication, because I was supposed to be the one that's texting my customers, sending, you know, in my mind, I know I need to send that reminder text message to them about their appointment for the next day, or, you know, sending out a confirmation text message when I booked the appointment, and blah, 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 blah. Well, when we first started, it was great. You know, I was just coming right out of a very defined process from working at a dealership for years. And that process got translated into my own business, but I didn't have all the systems in place in order to maintain it. You know, there were things like programs and you know, CRMs and whatever else that was helping me manage all of that I didn't have. So it just became a cluster of just dropping the ball with a lot of it. So we really just focused on automation. You know, we've integrated multiple different programs. We use House Call Pro for all of our scheduling and invoicing, all of that, and that integrates with things like Chirp, which allows for text message communication directly with customers. You know, and all of those different steps, you know, the reminder text messages, the blah, whatever goes out to them, you know, every 6 months they'll get a text message, just a little reminder, or I'll send a text blast about whatever. Giving our customers a very easy way to communicate with us and get a hold of us has been probably one of the best things that we've done. And we've also gone through, and one of the very first things I did was hired a call center to manage all of our phone calls. Cool. Being in a sales background, I know how powerful that phone call is. So I recognized that I was not giving that customer my full attention, nor was I giving the customer or the employee or whatever I was doing at the time when I was trying to answer that phone call my full attention. And as somebody who struggles with giving anyone any attention, it just wasn't working. So, yeah, I mean, by outsourcing that to, you know, I haven't answered a phone call in probably two years. You know, unless the customer has my direct number, I direct everything to the call center because they just handle it for me. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to worry about it. And over time, that's just taken more and more stress off of me personally, but also brought a lot of consistency within the business.
That's amazing. And then on the texting side, you just text through Sharp and have someone on the team do that?
I usually am the one that communicates that. My call center does handle the text communication with the customers. You know, that the same system that we use to send out like text bots, for example, they also send out like reminder text messages or whatever. One of the cool things is we actually have a dedicated texting number that our customers just save. Whenever they need a job done, they'll shoot us a quick text, say, hey, are you available next week? We'll get right on it, book them, and well, my call center gets on it and books them, and all of a sudden I get a message saying that I have a new job next week. So there's a lot of stuff that I've really taken off my plate that I don't have to deal with anymore. Truth be told, we just did our biggest month ever in June, and I didn't work more than 30 hours a week. So it's like really interesting to look at how much we used to work, because I've done the 50, 60 hour weeks. You know, that's how we all started. But rather than like following a revenue goal or setting it, I was monitoring how much time I was spending, and I started putting the pieces in place to try to reclaim more and more of that time. I'm at a point
and get more
now
consistency out of that time, right?
Exactly. My goal is to replace myself. I already know I'm the weak link in this business. I need to find the right people to put in the right positions in order to go through and make it grow the way that I want it to. Because I know myself that I'm not capable of it. I could do it, but I'm not going to do it. It's not.
You don't want to be stuck. I can relate to that deeply. You know, we're hiring two people last month that are kind of fitting into some of those roles. You know, where it's more of the administrative stuff that I can do, and I can do once really well. But then I'm just jumping to the next thing, and my brain's always coming out with new ways that we can serve our clients better. And so the consistency there, finding people to do that has been huge, and it feels like I'm working less and being more productive, which takes a little getting used to be honest.
It does. It really. I actually read a book called I got a copy right here. But the 4-hour work week. So this talks a lot about automation processes, outsourcing. You know, he talks a lot about like hiring a virtual assistant to manage certain tasks of your life, which I've done. I have a assistant in the Philippines, and she's been great. She works for me for 20 to 30 hours a week. I pay her $8 an hour, which is a great wage for her because she lives somewhere where that is a great wage. And she has a master's degree in accounting, and she builds these most beautiful reports and does all of our metrics tracking. And I get a weekly report every Monday morning telling me what our previous week's numbers were, and all of this like guesstimation that I used to do. And I was like, yeah, I think I made like this much, and I think my expenses were about this or whatever. It's like, no, it's black and white. It's right there. It just tells me exactly what it is. That consistency that happens every single week was not there. You know, it took me 3 years to hire the right person to bring that into the business, so that way I knew I needed it, and I knew I was capable of doing it, but I was never going to be the one that pulled all those different sources together and actually compiled it in a report and then did it every single week. So, that was a massive boost on our end of being able to, not hire in the traditional sense, because a lot of it was like budgetary reasons. I didn't want to waste the money of having somebody sitting in an office trying to find work for them to do, and that's not really what I want to do. So we've had to find ways to just kind of work, not only build a scalable system, something that can grow with us, but also something that works when it's, I'm so small, we're not the biggest company out there, but it's been nice having that backup. It feels like, as far as my customers are concerned, I've got multiple trucks running, multiple office staff, multiple whatever, and it gives you this sense of a bigger company, but it also gives you the checks and balances, so that if I'm not operating at 100% that day, I know that my business isn't going to suffer. Yeah. So a lot of the stuff that I learned in that book was huge.
So would you say it was the 4-hour work week that turned you onto that? Because a lot of service businesses, they've never heard of hiring VAs. And it can be huge.
It was, and it's funny. I've never finished this book. I've read it 4 times, and I've never finished it. And every single time, I get a little bit farther into it. I think I got to I'm at 356 right here. That was that was the last little bits of stuff that I haven't finished yet. And it's because every single time that I need a little something, or I'm lacking, or whatever, I go back through it and I pick something out different out of the book, and it applies to right then and there. Or I go back and I reflect on like, oh man, okay, I've actually done some stuff here, and there's some things in place, and progress has been made. So it's just one of those great resources that I've been able to use. And I'm not a big reader by any means. I read fast, and when I'm interested in something, I read it. But I'll never like just randomly pick up a book. I have a problem that I need to fix, and that book needs to solve it for me, and it was recommended to me or whatever. So that's my process. I'm not a big I'm just not big on wasting my time trying to read a bunch of stuff. It's just not going to be worth it.
Yeah.
Kind of works to my detriment to some degree, but it also helps me just really nail down on the type of content that I really need to consume, so that way I'm not wasting my time. And it's proven to give me results. I look at my life today versus 3 years ago, very different. So it's definitely a net improvement over time, and it's just been chipping away at things. The little problems that we have in the businesses, we've had to really chip away, and by outsourcing and hiring VAs and doing all that, those are holes in our business that we've been able to plug, and just bring a better quality experience to our customers, while also making my life easier.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you're owning your business instead of being owned by it. It's so funny. This is the second podcast. I was a guest on one, and then you and I are chatting about it, where Tim Ferriss's book has come up. And I'm just going to tell a little story here because I don't think I've told it on this podcast before. In 2019, I was reading The 4-Hour Workweek for the first time. It was August. It was 3 years ago. Probably exactly like this week, 3 years ago, I was reading the 4-Hour Workweek. I got like halfway through it, and I basically got to the point where he's talking about if you don't like something in life, fix it, right? I was in my engineering job at the time, and I was not being paid what even some of my friends who were just getting out of school were being paid. I've been working with them for 4 years, and I said, well, I don't like this, so I'm going to go do something about it. I've been sitting on this for a while. We had a kid, our first kid. We knew that we were going to have more, and so I went and asked for a raise. A pretty significant one in percentage wise. And I was like, this is what I need to be making. And I got booted out at the end of the week. They're like, can't do it. And that moment was the scariest and best moment of my life, because I took action. And I don't think I read much past that point. I was like, that's exactly what I needed in the moment. I've got to go after what I need. And then, I got a job for another year while I was starting this business. But it's so funny that book's come up. So now I'm gonna have to go back and read the rest of it because I've never read all the way through it.
It's one of those things that it's just like a really good resource, and I one of the very few things that I can always go back to, and there's some tidbit of information or something I forgot about, or something that's just gonna solve my problem, because like the book is set up in a linear way of how we talk about it, but chapter 7 might be your problem today, but then you got to go back and reread chapter 3 and figure out, because you just weren't ready for it. So it's been a lot of trial and error. Really, that's what it is. Just like you mentioned about, if you don't like your life, change it. I hated my life. I was making 6 figures as a service advisor, doing really, really well. I thought that was going to be what I did forever, but there was just this like nagging part of me that I just hated. I hated it to the point where I was self-sabotaging myself, and I eventually got myself fired from the job just because I was like, I hated it. And, I hated waking up every day and going to work when it was dark, and then coming home when it was dark, and just, I felt like I had no control over my life for a lot of it. So and my wife, love her. She worked at the dealership with me too, and we had a decent savings. We didn't know what we wanted to do, and we both decided, what, screw this, we're out. I got fired. 2 weeks later, she quit her job, and we blew town and left for a month-long road trip, and hit 26 different states, did all of the things that we wanted to do. All of those trips we had planned coming up, you know, we basically just lumped them all in. We couch surfed, we camped, we, you know, got into trouble. We just all sorts of craziness that, you know, it was one of those like once in a lifetime trips or whatever. But I got back after spending a month on the road with not a care in the world because I had the financial stability at the time. And I realized I was like, you know, I want to do this and I want the flexibility to do this whenever the fuck I want. Like I was so laser focused on this. And we came back and I was working on motorcycles, like flipping bikes and just kind of figuring it out. And that's when I stumbled into junk removal. And I was like, this business can build me a lifestyle that I don't need to take a vacation from. You know, it's not something that's tying me down. You know, if I don't want to do a job that day, I just don't do the job that day. It's what it is. But it's also something that's super easy to run if you do it the right way. And I was looking at all these different points and you know, we had to figure out like why or what it was that we were trying to get back to. I want to go back to being able to travel out, drop of a dime, and just leave for 2 weeks and my life not fall apart and go experience life. That's my goal. And yeah, just now we're finally getting to a point where, you know, we have systems in place, we have outsourcing, and we have, you know, the right tools are falling into place together to where it's like, okay, you know, we're starting to actually look like this is going to be conceivable. You know, we just purchased a brand new F-150 that's 4x4 more capable that, you know, we're going to be able to go and do more with it. And, you know, that was a big step for us because that's just one step closer to our ultimate goal of being able to go out and travel and do what we want to do. So it wasn't this linear progression. It really wasn't. But it was also, we always had this kind of end goal of what we're trying to get back to and also continue to make money and grow and build and have a business that runs itself. And, you know, that's, I think, anyone's goal.
Hopefully.
So yeah, hopefully. I mean, if you're in business to, I don't know, not make money.
Work 100 hours a week.
Exactly. You know, that's, go get a job. Like, it's not worth it. I will tell you right now, it's not worth it. But, it's taken us years though to really understand and like accept the fact that it's possible. You know, at first we started this thing, we didn't know what we were doing. Like we didn't have that goal in mind as far as like how to get there. We just knew kind of where we wanted to end up. So yeah, it's been years of trial and error. It's been years of failure, years of I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna close this thing down. I've almost walked away from this thing 9 million times. It is the best and the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yep. Is it your first business that you started on your own?
Officially, yeah. It's because I started this business when I was 20. I was 25 when I first started the business. I'm 29 now. So I was still pretty young. You know, I didn't have a lot of experience other than the work experience that I had. And I didn't really have anyone in my life telling me like what to do or whatever. So I just always knew I wanted to start a business. I always knew I wanted to own something, build an opportunity, you know, I provide an opportunity for somebody to make a living, but also provide myself an opportunity to live a lifestyle that was our dream, you know? So, yeah, no, it's your first business is like drinking through a fire hose, really. I'm thinking about the next business or what that could potentially be, and I'm like, this is going to be so much easier.
So much easier because you got the foundation. So it's funny. I didn't realize your age. So I'm 29 as well. I started when I was 26 in 2019, and built. So I jumped in. I had zero. I always had the entrepreneurial itch. I've told the story I think before where, you know, when I think it was like 14, 15. I bought those RFID Visa card protectors that were, you know, in the rage because people would go around and steal all your data. I bought like 500 of them for, I think it was like 5 cents a piece. And then I sold them to everyone at my church and community and everything for like I think it was $4 a piece. And I was like, this is incredible. I'm just making like ridiculous profits here.
Yeah.
And so, my dad and I did woodworking. We'd sell some of that stuff. So I'd always had that itch. And so when it came down to it, I was like, it's all right, it's time to go. And it's been the hardest thing, like, cause I didn't have business background. So that was one of the reasons I started this podcast, was to chat with other business owners, take an hour of their time for people that wouldn't otherwise give me an hour of their time. Right. Learn from them, grow and keep going. And now it's like, looking back, if I'd had the knowledge now, it would have been a lot less bumpy, but I wouldn't have gotten it without hitting all the potholes along the way.
Well, I don't, I'm not upset about the lessons that I've like, it's what's gotten me to where I'm at today. There's no question that I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I hadn't got through what I did. I wish somebody would have told me that it was okay to ask for help, or, ask for that advice, or, I ended up finally getting to a point, like right around when COVID first started happening and things were shutting down, and like there were literally like police sitting outside of the dump giving people fines for operating, just craziness happening. So we like 2 months prior to that, though, we had just hired our business coach, and we finally had that person to go to when everything was hitting the fan and we didn't know what our next step should be. We were paralyzed by the fear of like, oh no, how do I manage this crisis? And literally, the timing could not have been better, because we hired him 2 months before we had a shutdown from COVID. He helped us work through a plan on reestablishing ourselves. We came out of the gates flying, and then just realized, wait a second, everything that I've done up until this point was wrong. I thought I knew what I was doing, and then I basically had to pull a very Brian Scudamore move, and I literally laid off my whole staff. I realized, I was like, this is not the type of company that I want. I'm not giving the experience that I want. So we literally fired everyone. It was me and my wife Shannon handling all the jobs ourselves, and it was scary. It was a scary moment. But by having that person in our corner, really just like, no, you guys got this. You got this. Believe in yourself. Believe in the systems and the process. It's helped us get through it. But we would never have done that had we not had that person in our corner, kind of hyping us up through it all. So, and even now, like we're working with Jeff Lass and Alpha Media to help rebuild the brand. He's amazing. Obviously, Jeff's great, but it's the connections that we've been able to make just through the people that he surrounds himself with. It's good quality people that we're, and those are the types of people that you can go to and ask a question. They're going to give you the right answer. So, it's been a lot of years of learning who to trust, who to go to for that info, and then also not being afraid to like try it and try things and fail, and eventually it just all comes together. We've been able to build something pretty fun. I'm enjoying it.
I love it. Let's talk a little bit about, I always like to pick people's brains about their offline marketing stuff. What have you found? Because we can talk about SEO and Google Ads and all that till we're blue in the face. But I find the most fascinating stuff is the offline stuff.
I don't spend a lot of money on advertising. Probably over 50-60% of my business comes directly from my offline work that I do. I'm very connected with different real estate agents. Like we work with Coldwell Banker West, a lot of the other bigger offices here locally, and have, we just sponsored their company ticket on Saturday, and we've had that connection from the very early on, and we're able to get in there and realtors really like when you show up. So we just show up, and we've been able to build that side of it. So the real estate area is something that we really focus on and build, and everyone knows everyone, and that's been a major shift. But we actually started and like when I started, I did not have money by any means. I was borrowing money to file my business license status, and I didn't have this budget to go out and spend, nor did I have the experience of like how to spend money on Google or Yelp or whatever. You know, I think my first ad was like a Craigslist ad or something. And I got to this point of, I really need to learn this, but I also need to get some business going. So like we just randomly would go around and like pick up trash off the side of the road, or like somebody would post on like one of the local community groups about, oh my God, like how do I get rid of this couch? Somebody just left it in front of my yard. And I would just comment and just be like, hey, I'm going to be the one that's going to come and pick it up. I'm not going to charge you. I'm not going to do it. It's just, this is where I live. This is my home. I want to clean it up, and I have the means to do it very easily. So we're going to do it. And we kind of became known for that. You know, now on some of the local Facebook groups here in our specific area, at least, an illegal dumping post doesn't get posted unless we get tagged in it somehow, some way. You know, and by continually giving back to our local community that way, I don't have to ask directly for the business. People just want to support a company that's helping out and doing nice things. And I'm not doing it for the business, obviously. I'm doing it because I really genuinely enjoy doing nice things for, you know, and I like cleaning up my area. But I can't continue to do that unless I do get the benefits of the business. So I don't flaunt it in a way. I try really, you know, I'm very tactful with how I go about it. I'm not doing this just for the advertising dollars. It's not it. I'm doing it to build a community to show like what we truly do as a company, who we are, how we do it. And it's been successful for us. You know, I just picked up a mattress Saturday. You know, we had another one that we were tagged in, and you know, you put together a little video, just be like, hey, look, this is how we are, how we do what we do. You know, and people respond to that. People appreciate it. People want to support people that do that type of stuff. And I have a personal connection because I live in the area that I grew up in. So, you know, it's home. I really want to see our home clean, picked up, and, you know, nobody wants to live in a, you know, driving by a dumped pile of trash every day, you know? And so, yeah, that was really the thing that catapulted us. And then consistency in that, you know, we just consistently always showed up. You know, we consistently always were there. Even on the days that I just was miserable and I didn't want to show up, that was the one thing that we did in our business that I could always get out of bed for, because I love doing that. And it kind of morphed into this, like if I'm having a bad day, I'll go drive around in my truck and just pick stuff up for free for people. And just to be nice. You know, I don't have anything else. I don't have any other jobs. I might have like a half a trailer load or something that I'm going to have to dump anyways. I'll go fill it up and just go do nice things and just take photos and post it. You know, I was taking a walk last night with my wife, and right here at the park next to my house is a couch sitting over there that I'm going to go over there and go grab that here in just a little bit. You know, and it's not, yeah, there's a cost for me. You know, I cost the dump to use at the time or whatever, but it goes above and beyond that of like, I just factor that into it because it gives me the motivation to keep going. So, you know, yeah, it's just a balance, I guess. But
the goodwill, the value of goodwill is hard to quantify because it spreads without you seeing it often. And then when there's something so powerful, whether it's, you know, putting energy out into the universe, or, you know, putting up, investing in your karma or whatever it is, there's something that is so, I can feel it and I can hold it, but a lot of people can't see that. That when you put that out there are people that are watching that will never like or comment on those posts that you make, or when you're tagged saying, oh, they came and took this when we were in a pinch. And there's something powerful about that. And I love that you're 4 years in and you're still doing that. I think that's the most powerful thing to me is like, I got goosebumps when you said it, because it's like, you're hitting all the things that make good marketing, you know, and you're doing it for you, but it works.
And it's weird because I almost feel selfish doing it, because I'm doing it for myself. I just really like doing it myself. So, and a lot of people, you know, everyone's like, oh, you're so nice, you're this and that, whatever. But, you know, I like helping. I like being a nice person. I like, you know, spreading kindness, and just with everything that's been going on in the world lately, there's just not enough of it. So if we can impact somebody's life in a positive way, why wouldn't I? And it just makes me feel good. You know, I've dealt with mental health and stress and this and panic attacks and you name it. Well, I've had the whole roller coaster of emotions while dealing with this business. And it took me a long time to recognize that, like, when I'm overwhelmed or I'm feeling shitty or I'm feeling bad, what is the thing that gets me out of that? Well, it's blowing town and traveling and going out and, you know, going storm chasing with my wife in the desert or whatever we're doing. You know, there's always something that I can do, but I also really enjoy giving back. You know, I don't really sell a lot of the stuff that we get from junk jobs because I'd rather just give it away. I'm not blessed with an abundant amount of storage here in Southern California, but we donate a ton of stuff to our local community. You know, I stop people walking down my road, and if their kid doesn't have a bike, I ask them if they want one of the bikes that I have sitting out front. You know, it's little things like that go such a long, long way for helping keep me going, and it just makes me want to do more jobs so that way I can give away more stuff. So it's like a mental trick, I guess, in a lot of ways. But I've had to really like learn what pushes me personally, and then use my business to continue to move forward while still hitting the other goals. So it's like, it's a weird focus.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's hitting me in a bunch of different ways. Because I mean, there's one of the things that you know, one of my mentors said is, if you're having a bad day, just go out and do something for someone. And yes, you're doing something for someone, but it's not for them; it's for you. And it's there's something powerful about that. I mean, there's we did 2 website giveaways in the drunk groups earlier this year. Yes, it obviously brought in business, but I love helping people. I love those connections. Made 2 incredibly good friends through that. And there's something powerful about that. It fills up your cup, I think, more than it fills up anybody else's cup, and it's so neat to hear that, because you're still making time for that. You haven't gotten too big or too busy. It's like you're still doing that, and you're still putting away chips in the bank, and that's
and I'll actually build on that too, because not only am I making time for that, but I'm replacing myself within the business so I can focus on that. That's gonna be my future.
Is that one of your key, like, is that like you've identified that the storm chasing, the vacations, and the helping people as like 3 of your key things?
Yeah. Like going out, blowing town, that's obviously my lifestyle goal that I want to do. And I want to just go with, you know, travel trailer and just go in that, you know, go experience all the cool, beautiful shows in our country. But the kindness aspect of it is something that I'm building directly into the business, because that is truly the best part of my business. I absolutely love that side of it. So by going through and, you know, having empathy for people and understanding situations and recognizing the blessings in my own life that allow me the opportunity to help somebody else without asking for anything in return. I don't want it in return. I've already gotten what I need out of it. But, you know, I'm at the point now where everything that we've done has really built a following. You know, I have people that wave at us as we're driving down the road just because they see us, or, you know, they're out walking their dogs and they come up and say, "Hey, thank you so much for picking up that couch up, you know, a couple months ago," or whatever, you know. Neighbors that'll walk up and be like, "Oh my God, are you CJ with the Junk Medics?" I'm like, "Yeah, hey, how's it going?" You know, that alone, you know, people recognize that, and people associate me with the business and what we do and how we do it, and it's just what we need to do more of, you know. And I'll go pick up free trash. Like, I'm actually about to start. I just thought of this the other day. Have you seen those like YouTube videos of like the pressure washer guys going out and cleaning people's like yards for free, or mowing their lawn?
Or the barber that like is asking.
Yeah, the barber that goes around and does free haircuts or whatever. I'm like, I'm gonna go around and pick up people's junk for free. Let's do it. You know.
That's cool.
It's doesn't, like, because I mean, you've done junk. You a pile for us is a very different question versus a pile for a customer. You know, like something heavy is not that heavy to us compared to what that customer's thinking it's going to take. So, you know, we're already providing exponentially more value to them by just removing the item. Well, if it's super easy for us, you know, like, it's just there's a skew there, and we just get so much out of it. and we work with so many different seniors, and we're in a very expensive area, so there's a lot of low income people that are just trying to make it, and life happens and things happen, and if I can continually keep doing that type of stuff, well, people recognize it and they want to support it, so we just all win. So yeah, that's going to be a major push for us here in the next, moving forward at least. The business is going to do what the business is going to do. We're really good at that, and I'm very good at cleaning up junk and very efficient in that regard, and that's not the issue. We just want to be able to have the capacity to do more of this, and we'll get the residual benefits down the road of it. But it's weird. I've had people that have been like, why they see just the money flying out, and I'm just like, it's not about the money. I honestly don't really care about money, and I'm not motivated by it at all. It's a tool for me to do what I got to do. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be I'm hoping it's going to be interesting. Kind of sound
amazing. Yeah.
Sound my vibe.
Well, the payoff is in the things that really matter. You go to sleep at night knowing that you've helped someone. When people, it's just added impetus to carry yourself professionally all around town, and be that light that's shining for people. And I think that's a lot of people just chase the dollar bills, and a lot of people. So if someone was, it's hard though, because I want to say, someone was just starting, would you recommend that they do that? I would, but I feel like you have to do it from a certain place. I think
you have to do it without going into it thinking about the monetary reward at the end.
No.
I don't ever go into anything thinking about what I'm going to get out of it. And that's hard for a lot of people because like I've gone out and just picked up trash off the side of the road, and I've had negative $1,000 in my bank account, but I'm still going out and doing it because I need that boost for myself.
Yeah, it keeps you going.
It does. It makes me want to do more, so that way and like I picked up this mattress over the weekend, and I'm still riding high on that. I still love the fact that I was able to help this. Like this woman showed up she pulled in from work at 10 p.m. She's disabled. Somebody illegally dumped a mattress in her parking spot. She had to park 3-4 blocks away and walk with her walker all the way back to her house. And then she had to try to move it herself and hurt her. Like, no, like I'm not okay with that. That's not okay to have it happen. And she didn't ask for it, nor does she have the money to deal with disposing of it. So we're just going to show up and do it. It took me 10 minutes of my time, 5 minutes from my house, to just cruise over there and grab it. So, it's if you're starting out and you're trying to do that, you have to go into it knowing that it's not about the money. It's not about sure, you can think about the reach and the this, the that, whatever, but that's not why I do what I do. I'll be successful. I know I will. That's not the question. It's how am I going to be okay with myself getting there the way that I want to get there?
Yeah.
Do I want to be known a certain way for a certain thing, or do I want to, chase the dollar and just be the guy that's, always looking? No, I don't. That's not my thing. And people like doing business with kind people. I've had more doors open by me just being nice than just probably anything else that I've done. It's been one of the best marketing tools that I've had since I started, and people respond to it. You get a much. I was talking to Paul Wasano about it, and you got to have that emotional connection when you post. You gotta touch somebody's emotional pain point, and it's true. We live in a world where people interact on social media, and people see, they may not see the thing happening, but they see it online, and they feel a certain way about it. So if it makes them feel good, well, they're going to want more of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just focused on that. And if you're starting out, it takes time. It took many, 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 many years to get to the point where we're at, and a lot of consistency. and I still have work to do. I'm just not perfect. You know, it's not great, but by building my business to allow me to do this kind of stuff and free my time up so that way I can focus on it, it's only getting better. You know, I've only gotten more from it myself and the business and everything else. So you just have to stick with it. You have to really, you know, and it's not going to work in every market either. You know, you have to be in an area that has a very community-oriented kind of approach to it and really care about that kind of stuff. You know, you're not going to get the same traction in like New York City as you would in, you know, somewhere that's a little bit more suburby or, you know, something that's, you know, has that kind of community feel. People are, you know, going to the same elementary school and dropping their kids off and talking and, you know, and it just, you name it. There's, you got to really be, you got to be smart about it and how you go about it, because you can do it the right way, but you can also really kind of look real kind of shicey about it, and like you're only doing it for the attention.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's tough. It's not easy.
It's so good though. It's so good, and man, we chewed up that time real fast. So
Oh yeah.
kind of wrapping up here for people. I'm going to ask you a couple quick fire questions. Wrapping up, what you know, one, how can they get in touch with you, and how can they follow you? We'll start with that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're all over social media: Junk Medics online, Facebook, Instagram, website junkmed.com. Our, like I said, call center phones are always answered, so you know, you can just Google us and check us out. We try to be as easy to get a hold of as possible.
I love it. And then second question is, if you were to start the junk business over, what would you do? What are two things you'd do differently?
Oh my God, I wouldn't hire friends. I hired out of necessity because I was injured, and ruined a couple of friendships that I wish I didn't. But you know, in oh man, just you got to know your numbers first of all. So I would definitely focus on numbers, focus on intention of what you're trying to build, and don't try to do everything. You're not, you know, I see all these people that are posting about, you know, how do I remove this mobile home and blah, blah. No, it's not, you know, learn how to rip out a bathroom or something before you go and try to demo a mobile home. You know, take baby steps and build your experience, but also leverage other people in your area. You know, find other companies to work with. You know, I network with other companies here locally, and you know, just try to build our skills that way. So, you know, just soak up as much experience as you can and knowledge. And it's not a very difficult business to run. It's very easy and can give you a very good lifestyle, but you have to build it the right way. Otherwise, you're just going to build yourself a job that you're going to have to pay. So,
isn't that every business?
Yeah, and you just have to build it with intention. You know, have a goal. You know, I'll show you this. I found this in a pile of junk.
Oh, that's so good.
For those
on the podcast, my goal is to create a life I don't need a vacation from.
Yeah, I literally found that in a pile of junk one day as I was cleaning out this house, and I stumbled on it, and I was like, yeah, "That's my model. That's my motto." And it's literally sitting right here next to my desk, and it keeps me as my shining beacon of like what I'm doing. And the fact that I found it on a pile of trash makes it even better. Yeah. You know, it was just something that somebody discarded because they didn't need it anymore. Maybe they got their vacation.
Maybe they were headed out on vacation.
They were on their vacation and they got it, you know. But yeah, you know, you have to build it with intention and really have a goal for what you're trying to do. Otherwise, you're just going to be flying blind and reacting rather than being proactive with it.
That's huge. Well, CJ, this has been a blast. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the perspective on, you know, kind of putting into words. I think the most impactful part for me was the giving, because it's something I've felt before, but articulating it and having that back and forth conversation really distilled it for me, and I really enjoyed that. So I hope listeners got some value out of it. If you did, please share the episode out and subscribe to what we're doing. This has been really fun, CJ.
Yeah, I'm excited. We'll definitely stay in touch here. And like I said, we're just getting going. We've gone through the ringer with the business and really had to deal with a lot of heavy stuff as we've grown it. But by being intentional with where we're trying to get to, it's slowly making its way towards that direction. And you got to dig deep. It's hard. Yesterday I didn't even want to get out of bed. I just every day is a struggle. And you got to listen to yourself and make sure you're, like you said, you got to make sure you're filling your own cup through the process of it. You can't forget and lose sight of that. But yeah, no, I mean, kindness is really the driving factor, and you have to have empathy. We have a lot of situations that you have to be very empathetic with, and you can't, even down to saying certain things while you're on the job, or how you say it, or maybe you're making fun of the pile of trash or something. Well, that can affect the customer's perception of you very, very greatly. So you have to do it with intention and really understand it, and don't fake kindness if you can't pull it. That's not going to get you anywhere. You're just going to be a fraud at that point. So, but yeah, it's the name of the game. So push it.
Appreciate it, man. Excellent. Well, guys, another episode wrapped up here. CJ, just stick around. We'll wrap up off air, but appreciate everyone who tuned in and everyone who's listening after the fact. Cheers.